start rolling. We've got 8 matches to cover to see who gets into the quarterfinals of the draft league. Starting off with Mitch G versus Datrevdo. And you've heard me say it before, I'm a little bit of bias rooting for Datrevdo, but we'll try and keep it professional here. You got Mitch G on the bottom side of your screen with the Goldingo, Talonflame, Umbreon, the Tinkaton, Salazzle, and the water version of Tauros, versus Datrevdo's also Goldingo, alongside Pachirisu, Salazzle, Serena, Volcarona, and Azumarill. Let's go. Alright, leading off from Mitch G, of course, the Talonflame. This time we're seeing it next to the Tauros. Meanwhile, Goldingo and Pachirisu gonna be the choice for Datrevdo here. Alright, let's start things off with a follow me. Make sure Goldingo gets a free setup here. Talonflame with a Flare Blitz into the Pachirisu early. Does a good chunk of damage. Follows up with a Wave Crash from the Tauros. Quick little knockout there. No Tailwind being set up. Thinks that it doesn't really need to use it. Nasty Plot from the Goldingo, though, does get set up. Now we got Azumarill coming in from the opposite side as the Goldingo terrestrializes into the water type. Talonflame's going to scout out perhaps an Aqua Jet with a Protect. Tauros the same thing with a Protect, just to see what Datrevdo wants to do here. Goldingo with a Shadow Ball into the Tauros. While Belly Drum is the option for the Azumarill. Got the free setup and activates the Citrus Berry to heal back up. It's looking really dangerous for Mitch G. It's going to have to defend against these two monstrosities right now. Aqua Jet from the Azumarill, more than enough to take out the Tinkaton that swaps in place of the Talonflame. Close combat from Tauros, not enough to take down Goldingo's. Actually got some pretty decent bulk, obviously. Shadow Ball, though, after the +2, more than enough to knock out the Tauros there. A little bit of leftovers from the Goldingo to heal back up as the opposing Goldingo from Mitch G's side comes in to defend next to the Talonflame, sitting at 79%, so no Gale Wings here. Goldingo, Mitch G's side, going to terrestrialize into the Steel type here. Goldingo's going to protect, and Azumarill as well, just to scout out what the Goldingo's going to do here. Terra Steel, Make It Rain, not going to find its targets behind those protects there. And now we're coming into the final stages of this game as the Aqua Jet from Azumarill lands. Again, no Gale Wings to try and get around that. And the Goldingo with the Make It Rain actually moves ahead of Datrevdo's Goldingo, takes out the Azumarill, but importantly, not the Goldingo who's Terra Water, who gets a free Shadow Ball. That doesn't knock out Mitch G's Goldingo, but Datrevdo's still a little bit more in the tank, though, to wrap this up. Salazzle, clearly faster than the Goldingo, more than enough to close out this game. Fake out from the Salazzle just to check it, just to optimize here. Followed by the Shadow Ball, of course, going to be protected here, but that's all. It's going to be all she wrote. Goldingo's not going to be able to move ahead of this Salazzle. He uses Overheat to finish off game number 1. As we move on to game number 2, gotta see what the adjustment is because Datrevdo got the free setup from both Belly Drum and Nasty Plot. That's disastrous. You can't let that happen. So they're going to lead in with the Tinkaton and Goldingo this time. Still going to find the Pachirisu and the Goldingo here. Terra Steel from the Goldingo on Mitch G's side. Terra Water from the Goldingo on Datrevdo's side to defend. Fake out from the Tinkaton, so no follow me from Pachirisu to stop anything here. Oh, but it has Cover Cloak, so it doesn't even get the flinch. Goldingo with the Nasty Plot from Mitch G, answered by the Nasty Plot from Datrevdo's Goldingo. Tinkaton Helping Hand, of course, with the Mold Breaker, gets to use that versus the Good as Gold ability here. Nuzzle from the Pachirisu, though, is going to paralyze the Goldingo on Mitch G's side, and it forces it into not moving for this turn here. That's disastrous. It really needs to get the damage off to stop the Goldingo from moving forward on Datrevdo's side. Nuzzle coming in from Pachirisu again, this time onto Tinkaton, slowing it down, allowing Goldingo to move ahead of both of Mitch G's Pokemon here. Shadow Ball from Datrevdo, not going to find the target onto the Goldingo, though. Make It Rain, just to clear out the Goldingo and to try and chip Tinkaton down. Not going to be enough for the KO on Tinkaton, but more than enough to put down Goldingo once and for all. Datrevdo's got control of this game right now, full control. See a little bit of damage from the player I've come out as the Pachirisu sets up the light screen. Pachirisu with another follow me just in case. But Talonflame opts for the Tailwind to kind of offset that paralysis speed drop. But Tinkaton full paralysis here. Not going to be able to get anything done as a Shadow Ball from Datrevdo's Goldingo almost KOs the Talonflame, but not quite enough. Pachirisu with a follow me on the following turn. Takes the Flare Blitz, again, not going to be enough to kill, but the recoil damage on the opposite end is enough to take out the Talonflame. Tinkaton finds the Play Rough onto the Pachirisu, but that's going to be all she wrote, as the Make It Rain from Goldingo on Datrevdo's side finishes the job here. Down to a 2v1 where the Tauros has to scrap back versus Datrevdo, but staring down Salazzle and Goldingo, and still another Pokemon in the back, is going to be a very tough ask as the Fake Out comes through, flinching the Tauros here. Goldingo following up with the Shadow Ball. Not enough to get the KO, but the numbers advantage is in favor of Datrevdo. Tauros moves ahead though, tries to get some flinches down with the Rock Slide. Gets a critical hit on the Goldingo, but it's not enough, as the Acid Spray is more than enough to finish off the Tauros there. And that's game number 2 as well, over to Datrevdo, who moves on to our quarterfinals. Good match, good match. Yeah, the full paralysis were definitely a factor, I'm gonna admit. But I think importantly, the speed drop is also still gonna put Mitch in a tight spot. But yeah, definitely the full paralysis didn't help it didn't help the situation there. But yeah, gotta kind of hand it to Datrevdo a little bit too. Pachirisu as a utility is coming in clutch. Of course not going to go down to Flare Blitz from the Talonflame. Getting the Follow Me's, allowing the Goldingo to set up for free. Even if you don't get those full paralysis, just allowing Goldingo to have that speed advantage in the following turns is still pretty important. Gets to fire off the Make It Rains for free, or relatively for free. But it does get a little bit dangerous if Goldingo doesn't have, because it's using leftovers, not anything like Life Orb or Choice Specs. There's a little bit of damage that goes missing. You saw it wasn't able to close out the KOs on it, so the Tauros at the very end could have very well closed it around. It really depends on what Datrevdo had as their 4th Pokemon, because game 2 we only got to see Goldingo, only got to see Pachirisu and Salazzle. If it's like Serena, then they're in the, Serena or Azumarill, then you're in the clear actually. Yeah, there's probably Azumarill just hanging in the back. But still, good games, good matches. All right. Match number 2. CasualPizza versus Starry Skies. CasualPizza on the bottom of your screen, using the Hydreigon, Scizor, Grafaiai, Gardevoir, Pachirisu, and Stonjourner. Meanwhile, Starry Skies with Garchomp, Dedenne this time, Rotom Heat, Fletchinder, Scizor, and Passimian. See how this plays out. All right. Leading off for CasualPizza is the Stonjourner and Grafaiai, interesting combo to lead things off here. Facing down, also another interesting combo, Dedenne and Fletchinder. Fletchinder, of course, going to lead things off with the Gale Wings Tailwind, as the Grafaiai tries to taunt, but is not fast enough to stop it. Nuzzle from the Dedenne, it's going to slow down the Stonjourner just a little bit, but not too much for damage. Meanwhile, Stomping Tantrum, immediately clearing the Dedenne off of the field. Garchomp coming in, though, to take advantage of the Tailwind, as the Grafaiai uses the Parting Shot, stopped by the Clear Amulet on Garchomp. So Garchomp gets to use Earthquake for free, knocking out the Grafaiai and taking a hefty bit of damage off of the Stonjourner. Followed up by the Flare Blitz from the Fletchinder. Puts the Stonjourner down low at fourth of its health, who in return knocks out the Fletchinder with the Rock Slide. Not doing too much to the Garchomp though. Scizor takes the Fletchinder's place, Hydreigon taking the Grafaiai's place. Hydreigon gonna Terastallize into the Fire type, as the Dragon Claw was aimed into that slot. May have been a knockout there. Followed up by the Pounce from the Scizor there. Not going to be enough to find a KO, but the Heat Wave in response knocks out the Scizor promptly. Garchomp still at large, takes a low kick from the Stonjourner, but still a little bit of health left in the tank there, as the Garchomp fires back with the Earthquake, knocking out the Stonjourner once and for all, but Hydreigon still at large to use the Dark Pulse to knock it out in return. Getting a little scrappy here, but CasualPizza taking this one relatively comfortably. Moving on to game number 2. These leads are a little bit interesting here, putting themselves in very strange positions, but Fletchinder with the Tailwind is set up. The team is a pretty good start. Meanwhile, Stonjourner pairing up with Gardevoir for this one. Going to use the wide guard just to protect against the Earthquake just in case, as the Moonblast actually comes out from the Gardevoir ahead of anything that the Garchomp or Fletchinder are doing, knocking out the Garchomp. However, Fletchinder is going to fire right back with a Flare Blitz of its own, gets a critical hit to knock out the Gardevoir, 1-for-1 trade. Scizor coming in to stare down the Hydreigon from CasualPizza side. And both of them coming in are going to use Protect to scout out the opponent's moves. Tailwind from the Fletchinder, just to set up for these following turns, as it takes a Rock Slide again from the Stonjourner. And now we're going down to a 3v2. Passimian taking its place. And once again, Hydreigon's going to Terra Fire just to defend against the close combat, but it's not going to be enough. Passimian's too strong and finds the knockout anyway. Aerial Ace from the Scizor, probably headed for the Hydreigon to try and finish it off if the close combat didn't do it. And the Low Kick from the Stonjourner is not going to do too much damage to the Passimian here. Terra Steel from the Scizor, as the Pachirisu comes in, uses the Follow Me and takes the Bullet Punch quite effectively, only 30% health, 30% damage, but the close combat still from the Passimian at large is going to be more than enough to knock it out. Rock Slide from the Stonjourner, even with the defense drops on the Passimian, is not enough to KO it, as the Scizor gets to freely Bullet Punch and follow up with the close combat for the knockout. Starry Skies takes this one and leads us into a game number 3. Alright, this one for the marbles and for a trip to quarterfinals. Fletchinder and Garchomp one more time, staring down the ever stalwart Stonjourner, paired up with Hydreigon this time. Garchomp with a Protect, just to scout out some things. Hydreigon's going to follow up in response, the same thing. Another Tailwind from Fletchinder, start things off, and takes a Rock Slide for its troubles for the knockout. Now, this may be a good thing for Starry Skies, as it gets a free switch into whatever they want, setting them up appropriately. And we've seen how much damage this Passimian has done, regardless of if the attack is the close combat is neutral or not. Garchomp with the Iron Head, gonna chunk out the Stonjourner a little bit, as the close combat from Passimian heads into the Hydreigon, finds the Scizor instead, putting it down incredibly low. Rock Slide coming in, not gonna do too much damage, keep both Pokemon, both Garchomp and Passimian, pretty healthy. Bullet Punch coming in from the Scizor to chip the Passimian down, and it's enough to grab the KO there. But in response, Garchomp gonna KO the Scizor with his own Dragon Claw, as the Stonjourner wide guards here. Still pretty tricky for Starry Skies, though, looking at a 3v2 situation as Garchomp and Scizor under a Tailwind have to stare down Gardevoir and Stonjourner, but Bullet Punch from the Scizor more than enough to take out the Gardevoir here. Garchomp gonna Iron Head again versus the Stonjourner, putting it down low. It's gonna make this a tricky situation here. Alright, and Garchomp, Scizor gonna Bullet Punch to finish off the Stonjourner as the Dragon Claw comes out from the Garchomp into Hydreigon, putting it below half health. Draco Meteor fired from the Hydreigon, but it misses the Garchomp. That was crucial. Really needs that to clean up the game here. Dragon Claw not gonna be enough to finish the job on the Hydreigon, as the Draco Meteor fires one more time to grab the KO finally onto the Garchomp. But it's all left down to the Scizor, who gets to fire off Aerial Ace for free and close out the game for Starry Skies. It's a very crucial turn where that Draco Meteor needed to hit for CasualPizza in order to win. From there, they get to freely use their Heat Wave to finish off the Scizor, but it's the game we play. One way or another, they had a move that was not 100% accurate, so it still could have turned out in a similar fashion, whether it was the Draco Meteor or the Heat Wave, but it's an unfortunate situation in the game that we play. Either way, congrats to Starry Skies for moving on to quarterfinals. Played Heat Wave before there. Let's see. So they Bullet Punch the Gardevoir. They get that cleared out. Iron Head to get around the wide guard. Tailwind goes down. Hydreigon coming in. Are you talking about like Terrifier? Yeah, I can see that. Because we know that the Garchomp has Dragon Claw, we know it has Protect, we know it has Earthquake, and we know it has Iron Head. So we know it doesn't have Rock Slide, making it hard for it to hit the Hydreigon. So I will agree, if you go for the Heat Wave, you clear out the Scizor, so you don't have to worry about Bullet Puncher or anything. I think the thought here is that Garchomp, just in general, is a stronger threat. So if they ever, like right here, if they Dragon Claw and it crits, see like that looks scary, right? Like we know that they survived the Dragon Claw here, right? So it's a really weird roll. There was like if they get that high roll again, Hydreigon was gone anyway. So they want to clear the stronger Garchomp off the field with the Draco Meteor, and then they can focus down the Scizor, who's all they have is Bullet Punch. It's doing way less damage. Plus, you get to move ahead of the Scizor, whereas the Garchomp is faster than the Hydreigon. Yeah, the only way that you Heat Wave really there is if you know the damage ranges aren't gonna get that close from the Dragon Claw, but it's tough to call. Yeah, just mainly you clear out Garchomp, and you know you have speed advantage over Scizor, and you know there's a less chance of you dying in 2 hits than versus Garchomp at the end. Still though, only so much you can do. Draco Meteor miss was unfortunate. All right, but we are gonna move on to our next match, which is Raika versus Uzbekistan. All right, Raika is actually going to be on the top of the screen. Dondozo, Tatsugiri, Palmot, Talonflame, Toxtricity, and Gardevoir. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong team there. My apologies. Raika, yeah. Oh, wait, both of these are Dondozo Tatsugiri teams. I'm mixing myself up. Leave me alone. Hey, what's up, Raika? We're just talking crap about you. Get it. Oh, we're doing well. We're just getting into your match. You came in at the right time. All right. So, Raika at the bottom of the screen using Dondozo Tatsugiri, Palmot, Talonflame, Toxtricity, and Gardevoir versus Uzbekistan at the top of the screen with their Dondozo, Mousehold, Raichu, Revavroom, Serena, and Tatsugiri. Also, as always, let me know if there are any issues with the sound quality. All right, Revavroom and Raichu leading off for Uzbekistan, whereas Palmot is the option alongside Talonflame for Raika here. You're going to scout out the first move, perhaps the fake out with the Protect here, as the Palmot fakes out into the Revavroom here. Raichu opts for Thunderbolt, tries to clear the Talonflame off of the field, but the defense comes in appropriately. Flare Blitz from the Talonflame, though, is going to find Revavroom and clear it off of the field, 1-hit KO. Alright, but the Thunderbolt from the Raichu is the response for a 1-for-1 trade. Close Combat from the Palmot, hoping for a 2-for-1 trade. Not going to find it, though, as it's not enough to take out the Raichu. Uzbekistan is going to switch out the Raichu thanks to the eject button into the Dondozo, and Tatsugiri into its awaiting mouth here. Meanwhile, Gardevoir comes in for Raika, who swaps into their own Dondozo here. Uzbekistan's Dondozo scouting out things with the Protect there, does so correctly as the Will-O-Wisp was headed into that slot here. Liquidation going to come out, chunk out the very bulky Gardevoir here, as the Dondozo takes a burn for all of its efforts. Fissure coming out from Raika's Dondozo, not going to find the mark here, but it's a scary prospect here. Terra Ghost Dondozo, now using the Curse to try and chip out the opposing Dondozo, it looks like, as the Side Shot comes in from the Gardevoir to chip it down, and double down with the Fissure just in case, clears out the Dondozo. Oh, but that Curse actually applied to the Gardevoir there, interesting enough. Raichu comes back in, just as the Tatsugiri uses Muddy Water to clear out the Gardevoir from the field. Thunderbolt from Raichu gonna land onto the Dondozo, but the Terra Steel keeps the Dondozo from taking on too much water there, as it wave crashes back to get Raichu off of the field. Now it's down to a lonely Tatsugiri to stand down Palmot, and for all it's worth, a paralyzed Dondozo. Fake Out gonna find the mark as it flinches Tatsugiri, allowing the Dondozo to use Rest, clear out that paralysis. Muddy Water coming in from Tatsugiri, hoping for some accuracy drops at this point. It's gonna miss the Palmot though. which is a little bit unfortunate here. Gets the accuracy drop on the Dondozo, which doesn't matter too much here. And we do see the revival blessing coming out from the Palmot here. So this is just getting worse and worse for Uzbekistan as the numbers are getting out of their favor. And we do see the sleep talk finally come out from Raika, but not going to find a good move to use here. So Tatsugiri is going to have to get KO'd another way, and double shock is going to be the answer there. Raika taking the first game pretty solidly here. Hey, what's going on? Hey, we've gotten through 2 matches so far. This is our 3rd set that we're reviewing here, and we're on game number 2, where Raika is up 1-0 versus Uzbekistan. Raichu Rev Room again versus Palmot and Talonflame. Palmot's going to make a quick exit into the Gardevoir, who traces the Lightning Rod from the Raichu, so that's going to protect the Talonflame from any Thunderbolts from the Raichu. As it Flare Blitz the Rev Room, hoping for another one-hit KO again. Misses out on the mark, allowing the Toxic Spikes from Rev Room to go up. All right, Raichu with the Feint, that's all it can really do thanks to the Lightning Rod stopping his Thunderbolt here. And the Flare Blitz this time is going to head for Raichu to activate that eject button, allowing the switch into Dondozo here. Poison Jab from Rev Room, super effective versus Gardevoir, but not going to be enough damage to take it down, allowing the Trick Room to be actually set up. That's going to be a little bit unfortunate for the Talonflame as the Dondozo gets to move ahead of it and knock it out, but another burn towards the Dondozo. Similar to the last game, Rev Room just before it goes down is allowed to set up Toxic Spikes. Got the full set, so it is full Toxic on anything that lands in it, but Toxtricity hiding in the back, just waiting for it to waste its time as it clears the Toxic Spikes off of the field. It's down to Raichu and Dondozo to try and salvage this game, bring things back here. Fake out from the Raichu, not going to find the mark versus the Protect on the Toxtricity. Meanwhile, Liquidation from a burned Dondozo without Tatsugiri, not doing too much to the Palmot here. All right, Terra Grass from the Toxtricity. As the Dondozo protects, got the fake out from the Palmot into the Raichu, not enough to take it down just yet. Meanwhile, we see the Overdrive looking to get a bunch of damage onto the Dondozo, doesn't find it. Raichu takes it, of course, thanks to the Lightning Rod, gets a +1 special attack boost, and tries to last out the last turn of this Trick Room with the Protect here, hopefully make use of that special attack boost, as the Dondozo takes advantage of the speed advantage, gets a crit with the Liquidation onto the Palmot, but still just not enough to take it down thanks to that burn. Double Shock aimed for something, but gets stopped by the Raichu, of course, as the Sludge Bomb was headed for the Dondozo as well. Raichu finally out of Trick Room, gets a chance to Thunderbolt the Palmots, no Revival Blessings this time here. Meanwhile, Sludge Bomb from the Toxtricity finally takes out the Raichu. Dondozo, Terra Ghost, still burned, still has a shot at cleaning this back up here. But it has to deal with the Gardevoir, excuse me, tongue got tied for a second, which it has a shot to do something with, as the Tatsugiri finally comes out and activates that Commander ability, boosting the Dondozo stats here. But Overdrive from the Toxtricity, still doing a pretty decent chunk of damage here, so it has to watch out for that, and is still afflicted by the burn here, as the Gardevoir gets to set up another Trick Room here. Dondozo no longer at speed advantage thanks to that Commander ability, allowing the Toxtricity to fire off Overdrives before it does get to act here. Going to continue to double up with the Overdrive and the Psyshock into this Dondozo and hopefully chip it out. Meanwhile, the Dondozo, hard pressed to use a Curse at the cost of its own health here towards anything. And it's just going to take on additional water from the Overdrive, from the Psyshock, which gets a critical hit this time. Liquidation again versus this very bulky Gardevoir. It's not doing too much, especially with that burn. It's eventually going to go down to these double ups, but it's going to try and have to last out these Trick Rooms to get a shot for the Tatsugiri to come back in this game. Another Protect from Dondozo in hopes of doing just that, but it's going to fail this time. While the Overdrive finally clears out the Dondozo, and do we see a Moonblast? We do indeed see a Moonblast, and that's more enough to knock out the lonely Tatsugiri. Raika is your winner in what looked like a very clean game overall from them. The bulky Gardevoir with Trick Room putting in a lot of work to make it hard for Uzbekistan to move around, with the Will-O-Wisp as well. No Veil, I think it's Water Veil. I keep forgetting the name of the ability. Nothing like that to stop the burn. So good prep from Raika, maybe a little bit of oversight from Uzbekistan there. Unsure, but overall, very good game, very solid game. but Gardevoir and really Palmot kind of shining through. Of course, Gardevoir is like the full utility. Palmot with the fake outs, with the revival blessing, also providing some utility for Raika. Yeah, just made it really hard for Uzbekistan to move around. Yeah, it really did. You originally only brought it for Imprison Trick Room, and the weird thing is, what I normally do, I've said this before, like I have like a whole spreadsheet where I look at like the full squads from each team, just to see like what I would like to see as far as like team selection or like the possibilities and everything. But of course, we just had like too many players during playoffs to really do that. So what I might do, since we're like kind of thinning out the crowd here, moving into to our quarterfinals, our top 8, I may start to pick back up on it again. I may wait until semifinals, so I only have to do like 4 of those, because if I do like 8, it takes forever. It takes forever to set up, so we'll see. Yeah, like I haven't had like a chance to really see like what all options were available to both players, and I'm just really just going off of what's actually in these matches. Maybe surprised Uzbekistan lost. I don't know too much about these players, but like, I mean, just based on the way they've played before in these previous matches and their team selection, I could say, yeah, a little bit surprised as well. But hey, Raika's sitting right there with a good team prep. Gotta give him credit. Oh yeah, well, it's what it is. I posted it before. It's like one spreadsheet. I can show you once we're done here. I do want to go ahead and move along to these next matches here. We're on our 4th one this time. Yeah, just remind me later, and I'll show you what I do. Either way, we've got TokiDoki, and I'm just gonna call them Z, facing off here in our 4th set of the day. We've got TokiDoki sitting on the bottom side of your screen with Sableye, Ceruledge, Amoonguss, Noivern, Gardevoir, and Glimmora. Meanwhile, Z with Altaria, Bat's-Caliber, the Double Dragons, Toxtricity, Mimikyu, Kingambit, and Glimmora to scrap against. All right, and we've seen our champion Bat's-Caliber sitting next to Toxtricity, staring down the Sableye and Ceruledge double ghost here. Ceruledge is going to scout out the dynamic duo on the opposite side of the field with a Protect as Sableye sets up a Reflect. Dragon Dance coming out from the Bat's-Caliber, pretty scary. Taunt coming in from the Toxtricity, try and probably stop a Swords Dance or a Bulk Up here. Bat's-Caliber on this follow-up turn is going to use the Protect, just in case, and correctly does so as the Sableye, showing it has Encore. Ceruledge going for the Bitter Blade onto the Toxtricity, just as it uses Taunt onto the Sableye. Very crucial turn there. The Encore stopped, and further Encore stopped, so Bat's-Caliber gets a free Dragon Dance on the follow-up turn. Toxtricity going to switch out into the Altaria, which takes the Bitter Blade quite well, thanks to the Dragon typing here. This is a pretty scary position for TokiDoki to be in here, as they swap back into Sableye, now free of that Taunt. Ceruledge, though, going to Protect here. And Icicle Spear is going to easily clear the Sableye off the field at +2 attack, +2 speed. Parasong from the Altaria. Very interesting strategy. Knowing that they would get the KO onto the Sableye, puts Ceruledge in a weird bit of a jam where it's going to be forced to switch at a certain point. And does so into the Glimmora, as the Amoonguss uses a Ghost Terra here. Icicle Spear again coming out from the Bat's-Caliber at +2. Only hitting 4 times is not going to be enough for the KO, and the follow-up Brave Bird from the Altaria is not going to be enough as well. Allows Amoonguss to get down the Spore onto the Bat's-Caliber very crucially here, which of course has the loaded dice in order to get those consistent hits from the Icicle Spear. Bat's-Caliber is going to have to make tracks, and it does so into Kingambit. Amoonguss is going to follow suit back into the Ceruledge, as the Glimmora uses Power Gem. Good defense from Z's side here. Another Parasong comes out, afflicting both Ceruledge and Glimmora. Of course, Kingambit takes it as well. Altaria It's going to perish next turn if it does not switch out here. Does so into Toxtricity, as the King Gambit terrestrializes into the fire type to take that Bitter Blade very well, but it has to follow up from the Earth Power, not the Power Gem this time for coverage. Does a huge chunk of damage, but not enough for the KO onto the King Gambit. Meanwhile, Ironhead fired into Glamora, not enough for a KO either. Pretty tricky situation for both players. They're on a razor's edge right now. King Gambit going to switch out into the Altaria, expecting another Earth Power here. Bitter Blade goes into the Toxtricity and clears it off the field. Glamora, Power Gem almost takes out the Altaria there. Glamora on Paris count number 1, Cerulege on Paris count number 1 as the Reflect clears off their field. And Batcalibur comes in, but under the effects of the Spore, under Sleep, and hasn't cleared out a Sleep turn yet, so it's going to have to take at least one turn here. Cerulege with the Shadow Sneak tries to clear out the Altaria, who protects. Cerulege's Paris count falls to 1. Among Us still pretty healthy, and Glamora comes in. No more Parasong, but Batcalibur does wake up here, uses Protect. Does so correctly as Glamora is firing up Power Gem into that slot. One more Parasong from Altaria as the Among Us tries to clear off the Batcalibur with the double up from the Hex. Pretty tricky, but the Parasong is actually in TokiDoki's favor because Altaria and Batcalibur move first, which means the Parasong will affect them first. Glaive Rush from the Batcalibur takes out the Glamora, so it's down to the Among Us here, who honestly could just try and protect stall through these last couple of turns. Well, actually, no, there's way too many turns. It has to go down to, yeah, it has to protect like 3 times successfully. Yeah, there's no shot. So Z wins this battle. TokiDoki goes ahead and forfeits right there. We move on into game number 2. All right, this time from TokiDoki, we're going to see the Noivern come out, sitting next to Glamora. Batcalibur makes a return appearance with Mimikyu next to its side. Going to scout out that loaded dice that we knew that it had, but we also get to scout out, crucially, the Mimikyu having Lumberry here. Draco Meteor fired from the Noivern into the Batcalibur, who Terra Poisons to defend appropriately here. Fires back with an Icicle Spear to take out the Noivern. Glamora with the Mortal Spin breaks the disguise of the Mimikyu, poisons the Batcalibur, but does not poison the Batcalibur because it's just Terra Poison. That's the marker that I'm seeing. Mimikyu, though, gonna clear out the poison with its own Lumberry and sets up Trick Room. Batcalibur with the Protect to try and scout out the Gardevoir, who actually uses Will-O-Wisp on the Mimikyu. We saw from the previous match how effective Will-O-Wisp from Gardevoir can be as a utility on the team. And we do also see that's a very bulky Gardevoir as well. It takes the Shadow Claw, even through the burn. I'd say it takes it pretty well here. All right, we got another Protect coming out, trying to scout out what this Gardevoir and Glamora combo are going to try and do. Scouts with the Earth Power, taking advantage of that Terra Poison here as the Gardevoir uses Shadow Ball to chip out the Mimikyu a little bit further. All right, and the Mimikyu, of course, using Trick Room to try and reset the situation, get Batcalibur back online here. Does so, and gets out the Glaive Rush into Glamora, not going to find a KO, and sets up the Toxic Debris as well, just in case Gardevoir Terra waters to take the Icicle Spear. No need to do so there, as the Glaive Rush was headed into Glamora. The Mimikyu, just before it leaves the field, though, dies to burn as the Gardevoir uses Trick Room to set up. King Gambit going to take advantage of that in the following turn to clear out Glamora with the Iron Head, but takes a burn for the situation. Glaive Rush from Batcalibur, finally clearing out that Gardevoir who's been putting in so much work between these last 2 matchups here. Z, though, sitting relatively pretty here. Still has 3 Pokemon online. 1 is Burn, very crucially, but is under Trick Room. Oh, excuse me. Is that all 4 Pokemon? Oh, no. Okay. TokiDoki just left there. Gotcha, yeah. Saw the writing on the wall. 3 Pokemon down. Not really much for any offense back in the tank. If they use Among Us, no offense. If they use Sableye, no offense. If they use Cerulege, yeah, all they can do is really take out the King Gambit, who's at advantage under Trick Room, and the Batcalibur. If they don't kill it with the Bitter Blade, it's just gonna get an attack boost, and you're put into the same situation. So understandable. Yeah, I missed the forfeit text right here. Yeah, I'm looking straight at the screen right here. It's It's kind of the effect of the UI, since there's like so much more focus and the special effects on the screen. I'm so focused on here, not really looking at the text too much. So yeah, TokiDoki gonna forfeit, and Z is your winner. Excuse me there. Pretty sure it's eltlxee Gambit name translates to something along the lines of gain strength from the heavens and fallen friends. That'd be appropriate considering they're using Supreme Overlord as the ability. Surprise Showdown's text limit fits all of that. Well, to be fair, I do have the screen zoomed in a little bit. So like what you're seeing here, I can see the full text on my side. What you're seeing on the stream is of course cut off. And this is like this is a mod, I guess you call it, or a skin. So also the screen looks a little bit different too. All right. Next matchup. And before I forget, make sure to hydrate first. All right, and we're ready to get into it. Keanu versus Dragon Boy, in which I believe is going to be the last of our weather matchups. Going into the rest of this finals, I'll have to double check. But on the bottom of your screen, the Sand Duo piloted by Keanu, Gardevoir, Tyranitar, Lycanroc, Magnezone, Glaceon, Talonflame, facing off against Dragon Boy's Rain Squad, Dragonite, Lucario, Tauros Water version, Pelipper, Dreadnought, and Raichu. Quick shoutouts to Water Tauros, being the champion Tauros of this competition. This is the one that's been moving forward the most here. Let's see if we can continue to do so. And as Dragon Boy starts us off with that very Tauros and Lucario, staring down Talonflame and Gardevoir. Right, Tauros is going to protect, try and scout out perhaps a Moonblast or a Brave Bird, as the Talonflame using Quick Guard, a very underrated move on that Pokemon. Meteor Mash from Lucario is going to come out though. They may have been expecting Extreme Speed from the Lucario to break the Gale Wings and then follow up from there, but not biting. Meanwhile, Trick Room setup from the Gardevoir. Follow-up turn. Tauros going to Terrestrialize into water as Gardevoir uses Helping Hand for the Talonflame here. Not going to do too much as the Lucario gets to use Bullet Punch on the Gardevoir to finish it off, and Tauros follows up with a Raging Bull to finish off Talonflame, excuse me. Not before Flame Body, not Gale Wings activates and burns the Tauros on the opposite end. Glaceon and Magnezone coming in. Glaceon with the Terra Fighting. Interesting combo here. Magnezone under Trick Room using Thunder. Try and clear Tauros off the field. Nothing doing thanks to that Protect. Meanwhile, Glaceon with the Terra Fighting Terra Blast and Lucario finds out it has Focus Sash, so it lives on 1 HP here. It's going to fire back with a close combat of its own into the Glaceon, doing over half its life. But we still got a couple more turns of Trick Room to go to see the conclusion here. Bullet Punch from the Lucario. Chip down the Glaceon a little bit further as the Raichu comes in and takes the Thunder from the Magnezone. Lucario finally going to fall though to that terrifying Terra Blast from the Glaceon, who is healing up a little bit from leftovers. Keep an eye on that. Dragonite rears his ugly head here as the fake out from Raichu aimed into the Glaceon to try and stop it from moving. Magnezone, seemingly choice locked into Thunder, is stifled by this Lightning Rod. They have to get that Raichu off of the field here. Dragonite, at the cost of its Raichu's health, but not at the cost of its life, going to use Earthquake to do most of everyone else's damage, most of everyone else's health here, setting up appropriately for Raichu coming out in this Trick Room to finally clear out that Glaceon. Dragonite finishes everything off with an Earthquake, the most destructive force in this field at 100% health, the last Mon standing. Good job to Dragon Boy as they take us into game number 2. Dragonite continuing, no matter what team, to show that it's like an incredible force that if ignored or reserved, it has more than enough gas in the tank to do a world's worth of damage here. But we're in game number 2 where Dreadnought and Tauros are going to lead off against Magnezone and Gardevoir. Close combat from the Tauros, unafraid of that Moonblast because it has the eject pack. The stat drops allow it to switch back out, as the Dreadnought, now boosted in speed thanks to that swift swim from the Pelipper coming in off of that eject pack, gets a Rock Slide, and Magnezone does not get a chance to move. Gardevoir though gets a chance to set up Trick Room, and it allows Tyranitar to come in, clear out the weather effects. Pelipper gonna use Wide Guard here to defend against the Rock Slide. Nothing doing as he uses Thunder Punch instead to try and chip out the Dreadnought here. Gardevoir setting up Psychic Terrain, interesting enough. Dreadnought gonna try and use Liquidation to chip out the Tyranitar, but it's Terra Water now, so it's only going to do so much damage here. Dragon Boy, seemingly finding a really good situation in the beginning, is very quickly reversed upon by Keanu in their strategies. Tyranitar with a Thunder Punch, aimed for the Pelipper, gonna find Lucario instead, who gets paralyzed on the switch in. Dreadnought gonna protect, now having to defend against Gardevoir on Psychic Terrain, using Psychic. Tyranitar with a low kick, finishing off the Dreadnought here, as Lucario uses Close Combat, now slower than Gardevoir thanks to that paralysis, but still not enough to KO that Tyranitar. Gardevoir gonna finish off the Lucario with the Psychic, and we now see Dragon Boy at an incredible disadvantage here. Still one more turn of Trick Room left. They do get to clear out the rain, or excuse me, clear out the sand with the rain, which may be worth something if they can survive this turn here. Pelipper's gonna protect to do just that, and Tauros is gonna follow suit. Now we see a Thunder Punch aimed for Pelipper. Not going to find the mark thanks to the Protect. Psychic, same thing here. We exit the Trick Room, and now Dragon Boy does have a shot to claw its way back. Terra Water on the Tauros here, using Raging Bull. Gets rid of the Gardevoir, very crucially. Meanwhile, Pelipper with the Surf. Not enough to KO the Tyranitar, unfortunately, which allows the Thunder Punch to land onto the Tauros, and even at -1 attack, it doesn't matter if you're getting a critical hit either way. Very unfortunate turn of events for Dragon Boy, who looked like they were set to salvage this back here. Lycanroc gonna use Rock Slide. Thanks to the Charlie Berry, Pelipper gets to survive, use Surf, finally clearing out that Tyranitar, but Lycanroc with the Focus Sash is gonna stand tall at the very end of this game. Pelipper needs a miss from that Rock Slide. It's gonna use Protect to try and waste some of those power points there. Hope for a miss on the following turn, but nothing doing. Rock Slide connects and KOs the Pelipper. Very scary situation for both players here. Even with Dragon Boy being put at a disadvantage, almost finding a way to claw it back out, you have to feel that this is scarier for Keanu, given that situation, both in the early and in game, at disadvantage, but just barely scratching out a win. And it's gonna take us to game number 3, where we see Lucario and Tauros facing down Gardevoir and Magnezone. All right, this time Magnezone with the Terra Ground. Gonna use Close Combat, so it's not super effective thanks to that Terra here, but the Eject Pack coming back in to help with the repositioning here. Meteor Mash from Lucario, not gonna be enough to KO the Gardevoir, and we know that it's a little bit bulky here. While Discharge with the Telepathy on the Gardevoir to save some pain for itself. Allows Gardevoir to set up the Trick Room, does some chip damage to the Dragonite, breaking its multi-scale if it has it, and putting Lucario down low. Magnezone is in a pretty good position here, if not for the Raichu waiting in the wings to take that discharge here. Lightning Rod gonna boost Raichu's attacks, but not gonna do too much for the situation where Tyranitar comes in with its own Sand Stream, boosting its special defense there. Fake Out headed into Magnezone's way as the Bullet Punch from Lucario seeking to stop Gardevoir from doing anything further, but survives just a little bit on 4% HP, but finally goes down to the Sandstorm chip, just ahead of setting up Psychic Terrain. So no more Bullet Punches here, and no Fake Outs if Raichu ever cycles back out. Double Protect from Raichu and Lucario, just to scatter what Magnezone's going to do. We see Terra Blast, Terra Ground Terra Blast, aimed for Raichu here, as Low Kick from Tyranitar aimed from into Lucario. One more turn of Trick Room that they have to survive through. Magnezone aimed the Terra Blast towards Lucario, only to beat Dragonite, very crucially, allowing the Lucario to get out of there. And the Raichu survives the Rock Slide, only to be flinched for it though. It does have Citrus Berry to heal back up, so it'll still have a shot to do something as we exit the Trick Room. It's going to use Nuzzle into the Tyranitar. That's all it really can do here. Hope for some full paralysis, as the Dragonite still unafraid to use Earthquake here. on both the Tyranitar and the Magnezone. Does some chip damage to Tyranitar, who gets fully paralyzed on the follow-up turn. Magnezone still choice locked into that Terra Blast there, not going to affect the Dragonite. Meanwhile, Tauros gets a free switch in and close combat connects on a Tyranitar, clearing it off of the field. Dragonite with the Dragon Claw going to fall up into Magnezone. Again, they can only really Terra Blast, which got to be choice specs because more than enough to clear the Tauros off the field. Doesn't matter too much though, because Lucario and Dragonite are on the case. Lycanroc to try and salvage this game out. Let's see what it can do here. Bullet Extreme Speed to clear out the Magnezone. Bullet Punch to chip out Lycanroc below 50% health. That's enough to clear, and the Rock Slide to follow up is going to clear the Dragonite off the field, more than enough. But Lucario, double resisting that move, stands tall and is set to Bullet Punch now that the Psychic Terrain is gone. Lycanroc gonna try and endure, but the writing's on the wall. As long as that Bullet Punch is there and doing more than half of Lycanroc life, stood no chance here at the end of the game. So congrats and good job to Dragon Boy for their preparation this week. These are actually some pretty good matches from both players, I would say. Still, I think game 2 was super scary. That opening turn with the close combat eject pack into the Pelipper, into the Swift Swim was incredibly dangerous. Great for Keanu finding that position back, but the fact that they found such a huge advantage off that turn and were still at threat of losing just kind of shows credence to Dragon Boy's play and the strength of their mons too. Dragonite's just like an incredible force to be dealt with. Tauros is putting in work. Gotta hand it to him. Dragon Boy is low-key the dark horse of the tournament. I can see it. Like, again, I don't know any of the players for real, so I can't say one way or the other. The only thing that I can really say is Dragonite is, I gotta put it out there, Dragonite is just like a supreme force on everyone that's picked it up. And there have been like a couple of teams, including Ryu from my group, that have run it on a rain squad. I talked a little bit about that, how when you're dealing with rain, you're already having to deal with the raw power of whatever Swift Swimmer that you choose, or the Palafin if you ever got that, and all the ways that you want to defend against it put you at threat of getting destroyed by the Dragonite in the same go. It's a really nice pairing if you can scoop it up, and even outside of like rain teams, the Dragonite's just really strong. You can do like Terra Normal, Extreme Speed stuff, you can do mixed stuff. Multi-scale is just a strong ability that you're allowed to have more often, because not everybody's going to have an Intimidator or a Fake Out user. There's Fake Out users are really scarce, like amongst the groups themselves, so you don't always need Inner Focus either. So it's just a really good mon to have, and I think I don't like using the word because it sounds negative, but I think it does carry players a little bit more than other Pokemon would do. Like not to say anything negative against the player themselves, but like that's just, I'm just trying to put out there the effect I think Dragonite has on the matchups themselves, if that makes sense. All that said though, still good games, and we still got a few more to go. This time we're going to take a look at Cachwir versus Comedier. Cachwir with the Amarus, Dracloak, Bellybolt, Houndstone, Frostlass, and Didi, up against Comedier's Annihilate, Pelipper, Glamora, Dreadnought, Gardevoir, and Fungus. It's a very merry ragtag band of misfits here. We're going to lead things off with Pelipper and Dreadnought just going straight for the jugular with the Rain Squad, facing down Dracloak and Frostlass. We haven't gotten a chance to really see Frostlass do too much here, so let's see if that changes here. Dreadnought gonna switch out into the Gardevoir there, takes the Will-O-Wisp for it appropriately. Meanwhile, a Thunderbolt fired off from the Frostlass into the Pelipper. I didn't even know it learned Thunderbolt. I don't know a lot of things about this Pokemon, really, if I'm being real, but Focus Sash gonna save its life for another day as it allows it to set up Tailwind here. Meanwhile, switch out into Indeedee, gonna set up the Psychic Terrain here. And we do see Moonblast, not enough to take out the Frostlass, but the Hurricane double up is going to do just that. Shadow Ball aimed into Gardevoir. It's not gonna do too well. It's not gonna be enough to grab a KO either, but we do get some free switch outs into the Armarouge, who protects, try and scout out the situation. Gardevoir with the Imprison here, expecting a Trick Room perhaps. Pelipper launches a Hurricane into the Armarouge, but it's Shadow Ball that's going to be the option to clear out the Gardevoir from the field. Gets around the Imprison if Imprison Trick Room was the scheme there. Dreadnought coming back in, still under the effects of Rain and the Trick Room here. Armarouge is going to make tracks for Dracloak, who comes in and takes a Rock Slide for most of its life there, very crucially here. Double up from the Pelipper Hurricane is going to clear Dracloak off the field. And a flinch from the Indeedee, unfortunate. If Trick Room was the move, that was the turn to set it up for this Armarouge to come back, but nothing doing. Armarouge is going to have to Terra into the Grass type and hope to live these next attacks. Rock Slide finds the mark on the Armarouge, activates the Weak Armor, boosting Armarouge's speed here, which is more than enough to get around the Pelipper and KO both Pelipper and Dreadnought in the same go. Very well done. Rain is off the field as well, so Armor Cannon is on the table as Annihilate comes in. See what it can do at the very end of this game. Double Protect from both Armarouge and Indeedee. Annihilate goes for the Protect as well. Nothing doing. And it's going to Terra into the Dark type. That helps it defend against the Expanding Force there appropriately, and the Shadow Ball as well. Drain Punch from the Annihilate. Gonna clear the Armarouge off the field. Thanks to that Weak Arm, the defense is lowered, allowing the Drain Punch to grab that KO very crucially here. Another Protect from the Annihilate just in case, but the writing's on the wall. Drain Punch gonna do the job here. And good game as Comedier takes game number 1. It looked a little bit crucial as that Weak Armor activated and allowed the Armarouge to come back alongside with the Terra Grass, but Terra Dark, Annihilate, interesting enough. Very good prep option versus the Expanding Force duo here. Let's check out game number 2. All right, we see the return of Pelipper and Dreadnought, staring down Armarouge and Dracloak. All right, looking for the U-turn Weak Armor, no doubt. And there it is, there's the Terra Grass. And there's the Ice Spinner from the Dreadnought, much faster than the Dracloak thanks to that Swift Swim, immediately clearing it off of the field. Aura Sphere from the Armarouge was set to KO the Dreadnought. It got that, the Armarouge got the weakness policy off from the U-turn from Dracloak, but with Dracloak being off the field, Dreadnought is still there, a little bit low on health, but still there, very crucially. Armarouge is going to protect on the following turn, as Pelipper uses Wide Guard to try and defend against the Expanding Force. Dreadnought with the Ice Spinner fired into the Indeedee, who uses Trick Room here. Ice Spinner, very crucially, getting rid of the Psychic Terrain, so the Expanding Force will turn into single target. But under Trick Room, Armarouge still has enough room to move around here. It's going to Expanding Force into Pelipper, again, only single target, as the Indeedee tries to clear off Dreadnought with the Psychic here. Going to swap Protects here, as the Pelipper this time protects. Dreadnought, going to go ahead and sacrifice that one. It's done all that it needs to do for these initial turns here. Tailwinds run out, but Trick Room still has two more turns to go. Gardevoir, tracing the Weak Armor, may make these next few turns a little bit interesting depending. Pelipper finding a Hurricane onto the Indeedee, follow up with a double up from the Moonblast to finish it off as the Armarouge protects again, but nothing doing. Comedier skirts around that very well. Houndstone comes in, one more turn of Trick Room, hoping to use those last respects to try and get a ton of damage down. Rain is over too though, so Hurricane aimed at the Armarouge misses the mark, and they go down to Expanding Force as a response. Alright, it's all up to Annihilate and Gardevoir to take out this Armarouge and Houndstone here. Annihilate gonna Terra Dark again. Seems like the appropriate choice to get around both Expanding Force and the last respects here. Drain Punch aimed into the Armarouge. Gonna activate that Weak Armor there. But that just allows the Moonblast to go ahead and clear it off the field. Houndstone finally shows last respects, which KOs the Gardevoir here. Annihilate on these final turns gonna bulk up versus the Houndstone. Houndstone tries to burn the Annihilate with a Will-O-Wisp, but Lumberry is gonna save the day. Gets a bulk up, so a +1. Rage Fist still at low power though. So we got to keep an eye on that until Houndstone actually starts hitting the Annihilate, or until we get enough bulk ups online. That Rage Fist is not going to be enough to close out the job. Body press from the Houndstone, gonna do a good bit of damage there, but these bulk ups are saving a little bit of life for the Annihilate here. But body press is going to increase the power of Rage Fist, so it's on a timer here. We're moving into the end game. Let's see what this Rage Fist can do. Houndstone gonna protect to heal up a little bit with the leftovers, try and even out the damage a little bit, hopefully to survive. And if so, we can finish things off with this body press. But Rage Fist +2 attack after taking a couple of body presses, even burned, is more than enough to take out the Houndstone. Very close game number 2, but it does go to Comedier. Again, Terra Dark Annihilate putting in a lot of work to close out these end games. Congrats. Well prepped. Well played. Yeah, tough Hurricane miss, but rain's over. Yeah, it definitely felt like it was gonna go into Cachwir's favor. Got the burn from the Houndstone to clear things off, but Lumberry having to get past that buys Comedier an extra turn to set those bulk ups to get some damage off with the Rage Fist very crucially. GG's. Y'all forgot about Annihilate, but it's still Annihilate. He's still here. Okay. Next matchup is Ninja versus Lucky, and this replay is going to be a little bit weird because this one had to be downloaded. There was something weird with the replay, so this was handed to me by Lucky. But the remaining part of the match will have the regular replays. So if you're having trouble seeing it, let me know. I can see what I can do to adjust things. But Ninja versus Lucky. Ninja with the low kicks, who has been putting in work, surprisingly enough. Sylveon, Star Raptor, Tauros Fire version to offset some of the Tauros waters we've been seeing here. And another Dondozo Tatsugiri. Versus Lucky's Annihilate, Mousehold, Gothorita, Vaporeon, Skeledirge, Mudsdale. We just saw Annihilate clean up one set. Let's see if it can do the same thing for Lucky here. As Sylveon Staraptor lead off versus Mousehold and Gothorita. All right, we see the fake out from the Gothorita. It's going to stop the Sylveon from moving if it didn't Terra Ghost first here. Or actually, fake out was headed into Staraptor and followed up by the Population Bomb to clear it off of the field. While Sylveon, in expectation of that fake out, uses Terra Ghost and uses Hyper Voice to get some chip damage down. All right, and we do see a helping hand from the Gothorita to try and boost the damage of the Population Bomb towards that Tauros here, and it's enough to take it down as well. 2 quick KOs. Oh boy. Now the Sylveon does get a KO in response thanks to the Hyper Voice, but Skeledirge is going to come in to try and salvage the situation alongside the Vaporeon. Tatsugiri on the opposite side of the field forces the Skeledirge into Terra Grass though, and forces the Vaporeon to come in to defend against the Muddy Water as well. Torch Song aimed into the Sylveon, chips it down just a little bit, but these Hyper Voices are taking their toll now that it doesn't resist, the Skeledirge doesn't resist it. Draco Meteor, with the combination of Hyper Voice headed into Vaporeon, puts Vaporeon pretty low here. It's going to try and use Ice Beam to get Sylveon off the field, but nothing doing. It's still staying alive on the last little bit of its life and clears off both Pokemon on the field, leaving only Gothorita, a utility Pokemon, to try and do the job. But that's not going to be enough. Sylveon putting an incredible amount of work for Ninja here. Gotta see what the adjustment is for Lucky though as we head into game number 2. They were off to a hot start with the Population Bombs getting 2 KOs here, but until they were able to deal with the Sylveon appropriately using Terra Ghost, so the Population Bomb's unable to hit it, until they can deal with that, they're gonna have a little bit of a tough time here. Protect from the Mousehold though to scout out the close combat from Staraptor aimed in that slot. Defends against the Hyper Voice as well. Mudsdale not gonna take too much damage here. Very likely the popular AV set uses Heavy Slam to do some damage into Sylveon. Thanks to that, Terra is not going to fall just yet, but it's very close here. I'm also going to switch out into the Skeletors, though, to resist the Hyper Voice. And the Mudsdale standing on its last legs here, even after the double up from the close combat, is gonna survive on 5% HP and clear out the Sylveon once and for all. Tatsugiri coming in to take its place as the Staraptor switches out into the low kicks here. Skeletor is trying to scout out the situation with a Protect. Correctly does so as the Hydro Pump from Tatsugiri aimed in that slot. Not gonna find it. Body Press from the Mudsdale comes out, but finds the low kicks there. Alright, gonna swap out into the Vaporeon to defend against the Hydro Pump one more time. And we see U-turn from low kicks, getting the KO onto the Mudsdale and getting a shot to reposition here. We're going to see Staraptor come back in, now free of those defense drops from the close combat. Staring down the Mousehole, Terra Ghosts in expectation of that close combat, but Staraptor not biting uses Brave Bird into that slot instead. Mousehole, though, going to fire off the Population Bomb to get Tatsugiri off of the field, and enough hits connect to remove it. Meanwhile, Ice Beam from the Vaporeon takes out the Staraptor. A little bit chipped out thanks to that recoil damage from Brave Bird there. May have helped out just a little bit. Now it's down to low kicks versus the Mousehold and Vaporeon, but Ninja not going to try and finish that one out. Sees the writing on the wall. Says we'll try and tie this off in game number 3. This one's for the marbles and for the next stage of the bracket. And we see Mousehold and Mudsdale for game number 3. Did so well in game number 2, might as well stick with it. Meanwhile, Ninja, feeling the need for change here, opts for Staraptor and Dondozo this time. Mousehole with the Protect to scout out the situation, as we see a switch in back into Vaporeon one more time. Staraptor scouting out everything using U-turn to reposition into the Sylveon, as Wave Crash from the Dondozo heals off any damage from that. One more time, Terra Ghost Sylveon in expectation of that Population Bomb from the Mousehold, but Population Bomb aimed into the Dondozo, which is unfortunate as the Dondozo is going to take it very well and is holding and it's holding the Rocky Helmet. So a little bit of bait there to get the Mousehold off of the field from its own tools. It's really unfortunate for Lucky here, who takes a Hyper Voice onto the Vaporeon for its troubles. Gets a Muddy Water off, but no accuracy drop, and of course not doing too much damage to these bulky Pokemon here. It's up to Mudsdale to try and see what it can do. Uses Terra Grass, so it doesn't take too much from the Wave Crashes coming in. But a double Protect from Ninja's side is going to scout out against that appropriately. One more Muddy Water, you got to hope for some accuracy drops once those get to connect. Interesting, we see Terra Grass, Terra Blast on the Mudsdale. Alright, Sylveon going to fire off another Hyper Voice, just going to continue to chip it down, because it's so hard for Lucky to remove from the field. Another Muddy Water comes out, gets chip onto both Pokemon, and the Heavy Slam from the Mudsdale is finally enough to take out the Sylveon here. Alright, we do see the Dondozo swinging back in though to see what it can do. Staraptor with the Brave Bird headed for the Mudsdale to try and chip it out, finds the Skeledirge instead, and goes down to the Ice Beam from the Vaporeon on the following turn. Dondozo with the Fissure, trying to get that Mudsdale off the field, recognizing it as a threat here, but doesn't hit, both for Skeletor switching in and just because of the low accuracy. Tauros coming in here, Fire version, so at a little bit of a disadvantage. No, it has Drill Run, so it can do super effective damage versus the Skeledirge, but it's not going to go down just yet thanks to that hefty defense stat. Gets a little bit of chip damage back thanks to its own Terra Blast, not going to do too much though because of no Terra though. Fissure headed for the Vaporeon though, not going to find the mark thanks to that Protect. Another Drill Run aimed into the Skeledirge here, but going to find its the Skeledirge's Protect and allows the Vaporeon to use Muddy Water to finish off the Tauros. It's looking pretty grim for Ninja, who only really has Fissure in the tank to try and clear off at least one of these Pokemon. But double ups from both of these Pokemon are just going to chip away at it. Wave Crash finally comes out. Finally knocks out the Skeledirge, but in the same go, the recoil damage knocks itself out as well. And Lucky, weathering the storm, leading us into a game number 3, and able to get some crucial KOs onto the Sylveon and the Tauros later in the game, without falling to Fissure from the Dondozo, is allowed to move on to the next stage of this competition. Congrats. That was a game. Added a 5-turn game, take 1 hour. Yeah, Lucky did tell me that like the turns were taking a lot. Like, it's like, man, you don't want to lose this one because we're getting so close to the end of this competition, right? As we're really creating whole flow charts mid battle, just asking expert on check for each move. Imagine the panic on their face when they realize timers at events are 45 seconds to 1 minute. True. Lucky, the hope of group number 7. Vaporeon, high key MVP, absolutely. High HP stat, decent special defense stat, able to defend against the hyper voices from Sylveon appropriately. You know, both versus both Dondozo and Tatsugiri. Since it seemed like they didn't want to go with the commander route, able to defend against the Hydro Pump or Muddy Water, whichever it used, very well. Good against the Tauros, of course. And with the way that it was positioned around the Mudsdale and the Skeledirge, the Staraptor that came in, the one that could do the most damage to it, was so focused on getting the Mudsdale off the field that Vaporeon was just allowed to Ice Beam it in return. It didn't even grab like the KOs that it needed from that route. So yeah, I definitely get the MVP over the Vaporeon. That's legit. Definitely legitimate. Who says you can't win with favorites? Only true Pokemon masters win with their favorites, or whatever Karen says. I don't feel like memorizing the whole quote. Something, something. All right, let's move into our last match for the day and our final Dondozo Tatsugiri matchup. So we got Wendell versus Lumaris. So Wendell on the bottom side of your screen with Titan and DD female version, Sylveon, Abomasnow, Morgrem, and Cyclizar. So very interesting that we've seen a snow team move so far ahead in this competition. Props to them. Meanwhile, Lumaris, I'll go with Lumaris. Correct me if I'm wrong. With Dondozo, Tatsugiri, Lucario, Hatterene, Mudsdale, and Fletchinder. Let's get right into it. Alright, Lumaris gonna lead us off with Fletchinder and Lucario to take on Indeedee and Cyclizar. So a little bit of follow me, shed tail action I'm expecting here, as Fletchinder starts us off with the Tailwind. Brick Break from the Cyclizar gonna go off though. No follow me from Indeedee. Interesting. Sets up the Trick Room instead. Allows Sylveon to come in for free, of course. But you still gotta wonder, a 4v3 situation, a little bit of a disadvantage for Wendell for now. Indeedee with the follow me now. Gonna set off Hyper Voice with the Sylveon, who's gonna find Protect on both Pokemon. Another follow me from Indeedee, another Hyper Voice from Sylveon. Not too much to do on the Fletchinder here. Does chunk out Lucario to get pretty low though. Fletchinder with the Heat Wave. Sylveon is gonna avoid it, but Indeedee connects with it and burns at the same time. That's gonna help out a little bit. Lucario with the Rock Slide to try and affect both Pokemon, but Indeedee's gonna miss the Indeedee. There's a little bit of chip damage to Sylveon, but not enough to matter for the time being. Fletchinder with the Protect, Lucario with the Protect as the Indeedee comes in on, as Indeedee switches out into the Titan, excuse me. Sylveon, another Hyper Voice. And Lumaris is doing pretty well to weather the storm of the Trick Room, because even if both of these Pokemon goes down, at least one of them has to go down. They get 2 free switch-ins outside of the effect of Trick Room. Right? And who's going to be outside of that Trick Room is going to be Dondozo Tatsugiri here to try and clean things up for us. Let's see what kind of impact they can make. They're still at a pretty hefty deficit so far. Terra Steel from the Dondozo to try and defend against these Hyper Voices. Sets up a substitute. It's a Titan though, with the Superpower into Dondozo. Good check. It's going to lower its defenses though. Hyper Voice not doing too much thanks to that Terra Steel. And the Waterfall, not Liquidation from Dondozo. Try and get the flinch on this Titan. Nothing doing, as the Superpower does a ton of damage back into the Dondozo. Knocks itself out though, thanks to the Life Orb. With a Hyper Voice from Sylveon, Still not enough to close out the KO onto the Dondozo, who is hurting for their life right now. Sylveon with the Protect, as Dondozo uses Rest. It's not going to be a Chesto Berry version. Skill Swap from the Indeedee to try and get the whatever ability it does have on it, but it's protected by the Ability Shield. Very good tech option in this draft league. Actually an underrated, underlooked at item for Dondozo, since a lot of people like to try and skill swap if that's available. All right, but we do see Trick Room being set back down, and Indeedee with the Terra Psychic to try and increase the damage that it does with its own Psychic into the Dondozo. But with Terra Steel resisting both the Hyper Voice and the Psychic, it's going to be really hard to try and cut through its health here. Now, the special defense drops could come through with the Psychic here, and that may matter. Meanwhile, though, Dondozo finally going to wake up after a snap and KO the Sylveon with the Waterfall finally. Indeedee still ahead in the speed tier with the Trick Room being set up. It's going to use another Psychic into the Dondozo, still not enough to get it below 30% health, and the Dondozo fires back with its own Waterfall to knock it out and takes the game. Very well played. It looked a little bit dire for Lumaris at the start of that matchup, but navigated through the Trick Room, the initial Trick Room, very well, with Wendell going for all the marbles with the Superpower Titan there. The Indeedee wasn't there to protect the Sylveon up until a little bit too late there. Dondozo gets the Commander ability from Tatsugiri, Terra Steel reserved just for the end game to defend against both Pokemon very well. We'll have to see what Wendell can do here to try and defend a little bit better against those two Pokemon. We're going to see Lucario, Tatsugiri lead things off for us here this time, staring down again Indeedee Sylveon. Switch out of the Tatsugiri into the Mudsdale though this time. And Lucario again going to try its hand at using Rock Slide, hoping for a flinch perhaps. Not going to find it, as Indeedee still gets to set up Trick Room here. Alright, we've seen this play before. Indeedee with the Follow Me, Sylveon with the Hyper Voice, doing pretty good chunks of damage into both Pokemon. Not going to find a KO just yet though, but activating the Throat Spray. While Indeedee with the Mirror Herb, actually copying the defense boost that Mudsdale just got from its own Stamina ability, may have saved it from a potential KO there. But it's going to make tracks for Abomasnow, who comes in. And we see Lucario with a Bullet Punch into his own Mudsdale to increase its own defense here. Alright. Important thing to note is that Mudsdale, while naturally the slowest Pokemon, is not slower than the Sylveon right now. It's not EV'd for the Trick Room matchup here. But it's going to get a Body Press into the Abomasnow, taking it very low. But as long as Sylveon is underspeeding it, it gets a Hyper Voice to clear it off of the field before it gets to act. However, Dondozo coming in, Terra Steels finishes off the Abomasnow this turn. One more turn of Trick Room left, meaning Tatsugiri gets to come in just as the Indeedee does so as well. Commander is activated, but no copy of the Mirror Herb that was used earlier thanks to that Stamina ability activating. Sylveon with the Hyper Voice, Indeedee with the Follow Me. Dondozo is just set to use Substitute, knowing that these two Pokemon from the previous match are not going to be able to do enough damage into it. Indeedee with another Follow Me is not going to have enough time to set up a Trick Room thanks to it being at such low health right now. So Follow Me, Dondozo clears it off with the Terra Steel, Terra Blast. Now it's all down to Sylveon and Titan to defend against these monstrosities. Titan's going to try and claw back with Terra Water, so it doesn't take too much from that Terra Blast. He uses Earthquake to break the substitute on the Dondozo, who's now weak to the Earthquake here. Dondozo though, just going to Terra Blast the Sylveon and get rid of it, get it cleared off the field here. It's now a 2v1 in Dondozo's favor, who uses Substitute one more time to check for this Titan, causing it to use Superpower, lowering its defense, and its attack power. Dondozo with the Rest, trying to force the Titan into using more superpowers. It's going to continue to get weaker and weaker over time as it continues to do this. And that's just going to allow the Dondozo to do even more damage once it wakes up. Another superpower, another attack drop, another defense drop. Dondozo's still asleep though, as Titan uses the Earthquake this time to try and finish off this Dondozo. Now it's just down to Tatsugiri and this Titan here. Draco Meteor from the Tatsugiri is more than enough to take out this Titan. With the gutted attack, may not have been able to do enough back into the Tatsugiri, but we won't find it out We won't be able to find out because it's using life orb, not assault vest, not able to defend against that Draco Meteor. And Lumaris is your winner. 2 games in their favor thanks to the in-game Terra Steel Dondozo, piloted by the Commander Tatsugiri. Congrats, congrats. Hopefully you're facing the winner of this match. I think we can take a look at the brackets and see, which we can do in just a sec. Hey, eltlxee, how's it going? Oh, you're getting food and friends. It's all good. Just as usual. After wrapping this up, I'll get this uploaded to the YouTube channel, which I keep forgetting to post the link to. So we'll get that taken care of. I'll make sure you guys are alerted as soon as I do upload it. But of course, the VOD is always available on Twitch because I allow those to save. But yeah, that's gonna be it at least for the top 8. Excuse me, the top 16 going into top 8. The following week we're gonna have the quarterfinals, and we got the bracket right here. So we're gonna see Lucky versus Lumaris. Come on, challenge. Starry Skies versus Raika. Datrevdo versus Dragon Boy. And eltlxee versus Comedier. Should be an interesting match. Like I said, this would be like 4 spreadsheets if I want to do like a breakdown type of thing. Yeah, so I'm gonna avoid that until semifinals. But we'll still do the stream next week once all matches conclude. But as far as like if you guys want to see like my opinion of a team breakdown, I'm gonna wait until semifinals before I try and do that.